So let's talk about something we're all after: happiness. It's this universal quest, right? We all want it, we're all told to go out and chase it. But what if? What if the chase itself is the very thing that's keeping us from finding it? Let's dive in.
Just let that sink in for a second. It's a powerful idea. And it's kind of weird when you think about it, right? We're taught from day one that happiness is this thing out there, a destination you have to reach, a prize you've got to win. But what if that's all wrong? What if the chase is actually pushing it further away?
And this, right here, is the huge paradox we're looking at today. I mean, our world is just saturated with messages about how to be happy. You've got apps for it, a million self-help books, and an endless Instagram feed of perfect, smiling people. But even with all that, rates of anxiety and depression are through the roof. So what gives? What are we missing here? Maybe the problem isn't how hard we're trying, but what we think happiness even is.
To really get what's going on now, we actually need to take a step back. Turns out the way we think about happiness hasn't always been the same, not even close. Our modern idea is actually a pretty new invention. This really shows you just how much things have changed. The ancient Greeks, especially guys like Aristotle, they weren't talking about happiness as some fleeting good feeling. They talked about eudaimonia. Now, a better way to translate that is human flourishing. It was all about living a life of purpose, of virtue, a truly fulfilling life. Now, compare that to our modern obsession with hedonia, which is all about chasing pleasure, getting those positive feelings, and trying to avoid pain at all costs. It's a massive shift from a life of meaning to a life of just trying to feel good. And you can see this evolution so clearly. We went from ancient philosophy, where it was all about your internal character, through Eastern traditions that taught us that peace comes from acceptance, all the way to modern consumer culture, which whispers in our ear that happiness is just one more purchase away. And that modern view? Well, that's exactly what sets us up for what a lot of psychologists call the happiness trap. We end up chasing a target that's literally designed to keep moving. Okay, so this brings us to a really important idea, the hedonic treadmill. You know that feeling, right? You think, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, or when I finally buy that house. And then you do it, and you feel amazing for a bit. But then that great feeling just fades. You get used to it. Your happiness level goes right back to where it was before. And now you're back on that treadmill, already looking for the next thing to chase. This is that endless loop in action. You hit a goal, you get that quick hit of dopamine, but pretty soon that just becomes your new normal. The initial joy is gone, and so the hunt for the next high starts all over again. It's exhausting, and you know what? It's just not fulfilling. So if the hedonic treadmill is the engine keeping us stuck, then social media is like pouring gasoline on the fire. It takes that whole cycle and just puts it into overdrive. We're just constantly swimming in these perfectly curated highlight reels of everyone else's lives. And that naturally breeds comparison. And the psychological toll is real. It's that nagging anxiety that you're not doing enough. It's that constant envy for what other people seem to have. It's that persistent self-doubt that your own life just doesn't measure up. And then there's this weird pressure for toxic positivity, where you feel like you have to perform happiness all the time, even when you don't feel it, which, of course, is just another form of chasing. Okay, so if chasing happiness is the trap, how in the world do we get out? Well, the good news is science actually gives us a really clear path forward. It's not about finding happiness, it's about cultivating fulfillment. Let's just look at what the research tells us. I mean, decades of studies in psychology all point to the same thing. The biggest factors in our long-term well-being are not the things our culture is obsessed with. I mean, look at that. Wealth and success have a surprisingly small impact. So what really matters? It's strong relationships with other people and having a sense of purpose in your life. That's the good stuff. So instead of chasing a feeling, we can start doing things that are scientifically proven to build a fulfilling life. Things like mindfulness, that practice of pulling ourselves out of worrying about the future and just being in the present moment. Or gratitude, which literally rewires our brains to notice what's good, shifting our focus from what we don't have to what we do. These aren't quick fixes, right? They're totally different ways of being. And this brings us to the most important mindset shift of all. It's about completely reframing our relationship with happiness. This quote it absolutely nails it. Happiness isn't something you hunt down directly. It's the byproduct. It's what shows up on its own when you're busy living a life filled with meaning, connection, and growth. And a fulfilling life isn't always a pleasurable one, not moment to moment. Think about the most meaningful things in your life, like raising a child, finishing a really hard project at work, or helping a friend through a crisis. They often involve struggle, right? And pain and sacrifice. Fulfillment comes from overcoming challenges, not from trying to sidestep them. Ultimately, it's about shifting our focus from what we can get on the outside to who we're building on the inside. The question totally changes from, what can I get to make me happy, to who do I want to become?
And that brings us right back to where we started. It's the great paradox. When you finally let go of that desperate chase, when you instead focus on living a life that actually matters to you, you create the space for genuine contentment to just show up.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if happiness isn't some destination you finally arrive at? What if it's simply the awareness and the appreciation of the journey you're already on? Thanks for listening.